let's go from the beginning. Like, I don't know what paid advertising is. Teach me.
So our proven process is called revenue-driven optimization. And this is basically like a future-proofed, scalable way to buy ads profitably. Any of the platforms that have AI built into them, this can be extremely effective.
Hey, bootstrappers! Welcome to Bootstrap Stories, the podcast where founders, marketers, and thoughtful leaders share the most actionable tips on building a successful business. After meeting with hundreds of bootstrappers in the past years, I figured out that we all struggle to grow our businesses. But the truth is that most of us don't know where to ask for help or advice. That's why I decided to start this podcast, to give you all the keys to succeed at every stage of your business. All the tested strategies for solving your struggles and taking your business to a new level. No fluff, no bullshit, only a real talk between friends that help each other succeed.
Today, my guest for this episode is Chris Mechanic, CEO of WebMechanix. Chris, welcome to the Bootstrap Stories.
Thank you very much, Guillaume. It's a pleasure to be here. I apologize for my janky cave in the back here. I
like
in.
it.
G has really showed me up. I was like, damn, G, it's got a nice setup there, man.
No, I like the cave. It gives like a cool vibe because just before we started, you actually told me you were working on something like really hot and started to tease me a bit about like the topic. So yeah. I'm super curious, like maybe before we got started into like talking about paid advertising and all the secret tactics and strategy you've been doing recently, like can you give a bit like of context around what WebMechanix does? Like when did you start as a bootstrap entrepreneur?
Absolutely. And I'm probably the best bootstrap story. Like we've never raised a dime of funding. We didn't even really use any credit growing up, but WebMechanix is a performance marketing firm. I'm one of the co-founders. I'm like kind of the marketing brains behind the operation. So we started out in 2008, 2009.
Nice.
I had been working at another agency prior to that, and I loved it. Like right when I met the agency world, because I had no idea. Because before that, I was working like in sales. I worked at T. Rowe Price at a call center. But right when my first day ever working at an agency, I was like, this is what I'm doing. Like, this is awesome. It was just fun. Like, I'm all up on Google doing keyword research and making spreadsheets and just like posting shit on Facebook, coming up with like campaign ideas for the clients. And the clients were loving it because I was pretty advanced, I think. Like, the way that I got into digital in the first place was I had a friend actually who had basically set up these niche blogs, these websites, and they would get organic traffic, and he just had Google ads on them. Nice. So he would get paid every time somebody clicked. He'd get paid $1 or $2, and he was making sometimes a few $100 a day. And he's like, "This is awesome! Like I don't have to do anything." So I was like, "I got to do that." So I started a series of my own niche sites and became obsessed with it immediately. So I'm going a little bit in a tangent here, but I remember I set up my very first website. I published a few pages with some keyword-rich content, and I didn't think anything would happen, but I checked the analytics. It was before Google Analytics. It was just the server logs, and I'd gotten 72 visitors.
Whoa.
And I was like, what? And then I double clicked on it and I could see where they're coming from. There was some from Australia and some from South America, like from different continents. And I was like, what? Like people are finding this and reading it? Are you serious? So I became obsessed immediately. That was kind of the moment where the light ticked for me and I knew what I wanted to do. Right. And so I was serving tables at the Cheesecake Factory. I'd quit my job. I was working at T. Rowe Price, but I quit. My dad thought I was crazy. So I was serving tables at the Cheesecake Factory at night and building my websites during the day. And one of my tables was a couple of agency owners. And they asked me, what are you doing with your life? You seem sharp. You need a job. And I'm like, dude, I figured out how to get free traffic from Google. Like, I'm building a big ass list. Like, I'm emailing them shit. I'm affiliate ID, this and that. And like, I'm just making money online. So they could see the fire in my eyes, and they were like, come on over here. I had no concept of agencies. I did not know that I just never had thought of it. So I got there and they're like, hey, here's your client. Like, give me some suggestions about their website. And of course, I just went and just ripped it to shreds because I'd been doing it like full time, basically for 2 years, like obsessively trying to build my own stuff. But I didn't really think I was that good at the time. But apparently I was, because people were like, they just kept coming more and more. And before I knew it, I was at this agency and I was running like 10 or 12 accounts from the SEO and SEM side of things. I wasn't like the account manager. And I did the math and I was like, yo, I'm making them so much more than they're paying me. And so we set out to, I thought, we could do this ourselves. I was fortunate. My business partner currently is my cousin. So I've known him forever and we're very yin and yang, like, I don't know if you know EOS at all, but he's kind of like the integrator and I'm the visionary, but we're perfectly complementary skill sets. And we grew up doing little hustles together, like he had this like radio installation business. Like he would install aftermarket stereos and radios in people's cars and make money. We had like a little, we did some like MLM, like network marketing. When young, when we were kids, we've always been kind of just like entrepreneurial by nature. And he's technical. He's a developer. So I was like, yo, Sham, let's do this. We'll just get like 5 or 10 clients that pay like a couple $1,000 a month, $2,000 or $3,000 a month. And it won't be that hard. Like we'll probably won't have to work too much and it'll just be easy and fun. And let's do it. So that's kind of our founding story. But that's a really, really long-winded way to say that we're a performance marketing firm. We do, we do a lot of media buying, Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, TikTok, a lot of like landing pages, funnels, conversion rate optimization, as well as design and other things for usually like mid-size to larger size companies. We got a lot of financial services, a lot of B2B actually. Amazon is a big client. Thermo Fisher.
And was it easy? Because we went from like the backstory, which is really inspiring, and I really love it, until the time where you say like, I'm quitting the agency. We're gonna find like 10 clients that can pay us like a few $1,000s. But you didn't say like, was it how long did it take to get like those 10 clients so you and your cousin can actually like start the business and then skyrocket it to where it is today?
It felt like it took forever. But we got to the point of billing $10,000 a month, I think within probably 6 months.
Nice. Well, that's quite fast still, but
and that was the goal. The goal was, because I was making at the agency 35. I believe my salary was $35,000 then. It was a long time ago. It was probably 12, 13 years ago. Or no more. It was probably 15 years ago. So my goal was to double that. So at $10,000 a month in billing, we would split it each, $5,000 each, and we would each have a salary of $60K, which for my cousin was pretty good too, because he had just graduated school. He was probably expecting like a $50K salary.
Yeah. Definitely like a better option than going to find a job.
So it was very much my brainchild though, because I was the one working at the agency. And seeing, and what I really learned, like I didn't learn much about digital working at that agency. I was like teaching everybody else what to do, but I learned about how to handle clients, how to pitch, like how they would pitch deals and how they would write proposals. And I learned that I was good. Like I was exceptionally good. Like if they were able to, sell it for whatever it was back then, $10,000 a month, and this was the level of value that they were providing, I was confident that I could provide a lot more value for a lot lower than $10,000 a month,
Nice. And right now, like, how big is the agency? Like, how many people? What's kind of like the yearly revenue or ballpark?
Yep. Well, last year we were 10 and 2, so 10 million top line, 2 million bottom.
Nice.
And we've got currently about 75 people.
Nice. That's cool.
We're pacing this year for probably like 11 or 12. So it was kind of a slower start to the year. However, I just posted on LinkedIn right before this because like in Q1-ish, we were kind of slow. But suddenly, like over the last couple of weeks, we went from kind of slow to really busy. Because we have just like a couple of our larger clients just keep buying more and more. Like they can't get enough, like we do good work for one group here and they refer us to their colleague like at the same company, because large companies, sometimes they're divisionalized. So like
the
we work with
upsell
Amazon,
is huge, no? Yeah.
But we don't run all of Amazon stuff, right? Like we run like one little tiny team there. So when you do good stuff, everybody gets excited in there and the word starts to spread internally. So we just have like deals coming in suddenly. And that is the nature of the entrepreneurial journey, it's like ups and downs like that. And it was never as dramatic or difficult emotionally, I don't think, than the first year. The first year was super hard.
What was like the hardest parts in the first year for you?
The beginning when we had no revenue.
Well, makes sense.
Well, we had one client who was Maryland Bartending Academy, and he was paying us, Mark Russell was his name. He was paying us $500 a month to do SEO. And so for that, we would create 4 content pieces every month and build 20 links to his site from other websites. That was our 4 and 20 special. Right? So that was our 4 and 20 special. And I remember we would do the work gleefully and happily, like it was fun for us to do the work. But, that would take us like a day or two for like the whole month, right? And then we were just selling. We were just cold calling all day long. I was just cold calling. Even Sham was cold calling. Sham's not,
the developer.
He's the developer, yeah. He's a really good salesperson if he wants to be. He just doesn't enjoy it, but he's actually very good. But he was cold calling. I had one thing that I did that was smart was I stayed in touch with the agency that I had worked at previously, who they were very gracious, and I was open with them that I was, going to start my own thing. And they really weren't concerned. They were really gracious and cool, but I stayed in touch with them and they gave us a little bit of work, here and there. And so we got the idea that, if these agencies, probably most of them are still a little immature, they kind of like don't really know what they're doing. We got the idea, hey, let's go partner with other agencies. Like they have a lot of clients, right? And, we could light it up for them. So that's what we did. And I remember, one day Sham, we were cold calling and he called an agency and got an appointment with this firm called Wood Street way back in the day. And we went and met them and we still hang out with them like to this day. Like we're still buddies. We still swap deals back and forth, but we've got a lot of agency partners like that. But what was really difficult was like mentally in, when you're selling, we would go to networking events. Like we would go to like 3-4 networking events a week. Like we were just out there, getting rejected all the time. And then so slowly we kind of built a pipeline very slowly. And then, we would write the pipeline out on a whiteboard, like, hey, here's all the thing. And it was all theoretical dollars. And even all of them added up might not, or wouldn't get you to that 10 to where you wanted to be, even if all of them closed. And if even half of them close, you don't really know exactly, like, if you have the bandwidth to do the work, or if you have the bandwidth to do the work and continue selling, like, it was just really, really challenging. So I remember we would take naps every day. Usually right around lunchtime. And it was partially because of just like, we had to just like get out of our heads for a little while.
Yeah.
But I remember, and then, sometimes you would be all depressed, all down in the dumps, like difficult to see any way that it would work out. And then like somebody would call you back or return your email. I remember I was excited. I was like begging, like, please somebody email me. I had 0 emails. Like an email would come through and we'd be like, hey, email came through. What is it? And I was just that ad, fuck this, But yeah, then somebody would return your email and then suddenly, it's just bright and sunny again. You just become super optimistic again. Very manic, and even still to this day, there's ups and downs like that. But in the early days, it was much more pronounced for me, at least, than the latter.
Yeah, and I think like from your story, it's like, I mean, there are like lots of really cool takeaways. I think it's like, be consistent, like do your things, go out there. As you said, like to build a pipe, it takes quite some time. It's not something you're gonna do like from a day to another. I love the fact that you also like kept in touch with the former agency and started thinking like, actually, like we're competitors, but down the line, if they can give us money to do some project, it's still good money. So, like, let's take it.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the early days you need to eat and you need to, so really, really cool. I love the grind and the passion. But before, we started this call, you started teasing me, about like new systems and things you've been testing, etc. Like I want to go and start talking about paid advertising. So yeah, like let's go from the beginning. Like I don't know what paid advertising is. Like teach me.
Yep. So our proven process is called revenue-driven optimization. And there's a few fundamental components of it. And this is basically like a future-proofed, scalable way to buy ads profitably, primarily on Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, any of the platforms that have AI built into them, basically. This can be extremely effective. And it starts with the data layer. So the key is to really, before you do anything else, you map out your funnel, the steps in your funnel, and the corresponding behaviors like on the website or in CRM where that thing takes place. And then you wire your CRM or your revenue level data back to those ad platforms. Because what everybody's doing right now is basically they say, hey, Google, we want people to fill out this form. When somebody fills out that form, it's a conversion. So we want people to do that. So Google is then filling that or getting people to fill that form out. But most advertisers are not feeding any quality data back after that. So Google has no way to know which of them are good and which of them aren't. So the first step is to wire those down funnel, revenue level things back to the system so that you can send signals of quality, right? You can be like, of those 100 form submissions, those 20 were really, really, really good. So go get me more like that, Google. So by definition, RDO fundamentally is about sales, it's about revenue, it's about CRM level data, and it's about AI and training algorithms, basically. Or we call them the robots.
Nice.
So that's the first part of RDO, or revenue-driven optimization. The other thing that it talks on is the types of ads and the types of post-click experiences that you use. So in terms of ads, we like ads that do two things. One is that they polarize, like they really speak out to the right person, almost to the point where it detracts or deters the wrong person. So we qualify basically with the ads, and then we also are looking for interactivity wherever possible. So there's some ad formats, such as messenger ads are a good example, where you can set up your bot to say, are you this or are you that? Right? And the reason that we do that is for the signals, because we can get signals back the same way we can send quality signals post click. Like, to the extent possible, you want to get those quality signals into your ads. So that's the ad experience. The post-click experience.
Just one quick question. Can, like whenever you were saying we want to polarize and be kind of like controversial, whenever you do that, do you do that to kind of like spot a first audience that you will retarget a bit later, or do you do that with directly like the brand content? So let's say, for example, you're taking like or you're working for like Coca-Cola, and you do like would you do an ad that is branded with Coca-Cola and then you have like something that's a bit polarizing, or would you do something polarizing that then will help you do an ads for Coca-Cola? Like, is it already branded when you do that first step, or is it not?
Okay, I think I see what you're saying. So the initial ad, like whether it's branded with the client's name.
Yeah, sorry, exactly. Because my question is like technically, like what you could do is have, I don't know, like a random Facebook page where you're going to do something like super controversial. So that way you are 100% sure that the client or whatever are not really like, because brands, for example, can target people, but they're not going to be willing to say exactly with the target. So with potentially an outside page that can be controversial, because if shit hit the fan, it's not going to go back on the brand. And then after that, sharing like, I don't know, your pixel or your audience on ads, with the brand. Is that something like you're doing, or is it, or?
No, I mean, that is clever and kind of scrappy. Like, I like where your head's at with it. I have thought of it. I would like to do it in a lot of cases. And actually we've proposed it in some cases. And the thing is that, like, we've proposed, similar things, such as like, what if I just run it from my personal account? Like I could run ads for that from my thing. Right. And they would do better because it's like an implied endorsement. Right. But the issue is, when you ask a client if you can do that, they usually will say no. So if you do it, it has to be, secretive, which I don't love. And then shit still could hit the fan.
Yeah, true.
If they found out. So I'll keep pitching it though, more and more often, because it is a good idea.
So basically it's like with the brand, you decide like, okay, I'm going to post content that is literally like kind of segmenting the broad audience into people I know are legitimate versus the one that are not. And the one that are not, I just exclude them after in a second advertising. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly right. And just to be clear, most of our clients are like on their performance focused. So they're either lead gen or they're e-com, mostly lead gen though. Now, the thing is, you can't always do that. Like, not all ad forms or ad formats allow that. And you do have to run different types of ad formats. So if we can't do it with the ad format, then we'll do it on the landing page or as the funnel. So the creative technique is something we call IOIs and IOQs, which stands for indicators of intent and indicators of quality. So to summarize it, you want your ads and your landing pages to be set up in such a way that generate those useful data signals. They tell you whether there's intent there or whether there's quality there. So on a post-click experience, we'll almost never have just like your typical landing page, the typical landing page, the forms on the one side, there's content on the left. Like, we'll almost never have a visible form like that on the landing page, but instead we'll set it up almost quiz-like. So we like to sit with our clients. One of the first things we ask is like, hey, if I'm a good prospect and I call your sales team, what are the first few questions that sales team is going to ask me, like to help me, to point me in the right direction, to understand, to price, like what is that salesperson going to ask? And then you basically take a version of those, and those are the things you want to know, right? Those are the signals that you would like to have. And so you basically do your best to incorporate those into that post-click experience, like throughout the funnel, in an order that makes sense. So one of the things they probably want to know is budget, but we don't want to lead with budget because that's a little invasive for a first date, So that's what we're doing. So we're basically qualifying whether the ad formats have IOIs and IOQs, is almost irrelevant, because we're qualifying continually throughout the journey and pinging back those data points. So we always have at least one a post-conversion data point, meaning like after the original conversion happens. Okay. So that might be like deal closed or deal was created in CRM or whatever that thing is. And we'll always have at least one pre-conversion signal.
Okay. So just to make sure, like I understand correctly, whenever you're saying like you're sending like back the information and everything, is it something like technical that you send through API with a connector from the CRM to like back to Facebook or Google Ads or the platforms, or is it a platform you built, or how exactly do you set this up like concretely?
Yep. So that's a great question. There's a few different ways to do it. There are direct CRM integrations for like a lot of the bigger CRMs. So like HubSpot has HubSpot makes it real easy. You could do it with Salesforce. I believe you could do it with Marketo. There's some where you'll need to manually connect the systems. Like if it has an API and Google Ads has an API, you can manually connect it. Frankly, it's a matter of basically uploading a data file or downloading a data file from CRM and uploading it to platforms. So you could even do it manually, on some periodic basis.
Nice. No, that's really cool. And could we walk through, like, for example, an example of a campaign from, the part where it's very controversial up to the qualification, up to the conversion. So just like a brand or like an example you have in mind that performed like really well, and just so we can picture kind of the creative or the thing that people are testing.
Let me think of something I could tell you that is
non-confidential. Yeah.
Because I know my clients are going to listen to this probably. Let me think.
Put your hands on your ears.
Let me get back to you on that one.
Okay.
I'll think of a good one soon, but let me get back to you.
So you were mentioning that basically like whenever you are running ads for you have like a specific, I would say, like type of customers that you're helping out right now. So do you feel like ads are for every business, or do you feel like some business benefit like more from ads than others? And why do you think it's the reason, if that's the case?
I think there probably is room for ads in every business. Like, I'm sure there's useful ads that every business could run, but no, it certainly is more applicable to some businesses than others. Like we see a lot of government contractors where we are because we're in the Washington DC area. So GovCons is an example where like it might not be that useful because like those deals. Actually, no, it could be useful for GovCons. I take that back. But there are some where it wouldn't be that useful, or like I think a lot of product-led companies, like companies that like have excellent products, like Lemlist, that probably you don't have to spend that much on ads. Like you probably get a lot of referrals. You probably grow somewhat organically. I think there's less case to make for ads for that type of business, but the ones that are mostly sales led, where the product is maybe not the category leader, or where it's a service that's somewhat commoditized and highly competitive, I think those ones are the ones that are more applicable.
And do you feel like the lifetime value of a customers is definitely something to look into whenever you want to run ads? So like, for example, if like your price point is super low, obviously you're not going to be able to spend that much on ads. Is it like have you found like a secret number, or do you feel like because like product with a lower price tend to be also a bit more viral, it's sometimes fine?
I don't know. Rephrase that question for me real quick.
Okay, sorry if it wasn't clear. So my thinking is that obviously whenever you're running ads, you're going to spend money to acquire customers. So usually like if you're selling, for example, a product that costs, I don't know, like $5.
Oh, right.
If you run ads, you're going to be willing to spend maybe like, I don't know, $1 or $2 max, So I was just wondering if for you, there is like a number where running ads is just like useless, or if you feel like it really depends.
Well, it definitely depends. I think there's a number that it won't make sense, like profitability wise, right? Like you just might not be able to acquire a customer for that amount. So there's certainly some scenarios where the economics just don't check out. And all of our customers, by and large, like they have high customer lifetime values. They're selling expensive things. They're selling financial services. They're selling, enterprise software, or things that cost a lot. And I think that definitely helps us to justify that equation. Like we have some clients where if we can just get them a few extra deals a year, like they're making many millions of dollars and, paying us hundreds of thousands, right?
Which is nice.
Yeah. What about you guys? I'm curious. You were telling me about your LinkedIn technique on my pod, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, we haven't run actually like much ads so far. I think like I'm curious like to kind of like explore it a bit more, like trying to test different things. As you mentioned, like we get tons of referrals. We also do like a lot of content and outbound ourselves, which is like driving also the growth of the business, and it's also what we're selling as a product. So, but again, like I'm curious to see like have you seen in your clients or in I don't know, like a techniques a bit a new technique, something a bit like unique, or something that kind of like put you on your toe when you saw it, like as a strategy for ads in terms of funnel or something creative recently?
Kind of. I have probably like a $10 million idea for you guys.
I like it.
that I think you'll really enjoy. Are you familiar with Morning Brew?
Yes, absolutely.
But do you know about how they grew so fast?
No, I'm not familiar with the story.
So there's this guy, I forget his name. He's since moved on, but they basically have really, really good newsletters.
Yeah.
But they built in a viral referral loop. So like all of their traffic came from this viral referral loop. And there's a detailed Medium post where the guy is like detailing exactly everything that went into it. So there's that. But
nice.
But I personally have been like, I'm big into stocks and investing and shit, and I'm getting into crypto more and more. So there's this newsletter that I really enjoy called Stock Twits. So they send out the daily twit or the daily rip, they call it. And it's a daily newsletter. I encourage you to check it out, but it's just really nicely done. Like it's like the copy is good. It's funny. Like they have like little GIFs kind of moving around. It's really useful. And they have this section at the bottom that's links that don't suck.
Nice.
So it's like clever and fun, but like links that don't suck. And some of them are marked with an asterisk, and they explain later that, hey, this is a sponsored post. But even the ads, they write the ads themselves. So it goes into their like funny language kind of.
Nice.
So they're doing really well with that, right? But what I love about it for Lemlist is that you guys are in a space where like there is stuff happening all the time in sales land and BDR land and stuff, right? But I love that the newsletter model, because like you could probably spend maybe like, call it $50,000 a month or something, get a really, really good editor, you know, one or two people to help them like produce this thing on a daily basis, send it out to your list, and then swipe Morning Brew's viral referral strategy. Dude, if you do those two things, like it wouldn't cost you that much, but I bet you would make millions of dollars.
I need to check like that article on Medium you mentioned. Was it Alex? Alex, like was it Alex Brewman or something like that, like the CEO or something? I don't know.
Well, he went on to start this group called Beehive, which also might be of interest to you because it's in the email newsletter space. But it's called Beehive. My buddy EJ works there. I think it's BEEHIIV, something like that.
Okay, I'll check.
But so he's basically got a platform that newsletter creators can use to like create and monetize their own newsletters.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And if you use his platform, the viral referral technique thing that he describes in Medium is built into that platform as a feature.
Okay. I guess that's why you wrote the article. So maybe, you can drive traffic but that's smart. That's a smart move.
He seems like a really good marketer.
Yeah, he is. And you were mentioning early on, you know, like that you've started running also like TikTok ads and things like that. Like, what have you like experienced on this platform so far? Like, what do you find about it? Like, what's your opinion on it? Is this something you can get like really like sales out of it, or is this more for branding? Like, how do we qualify views on? Because I know you're like very revenue driven, and your approach is like super smart, and I really enjoy it. But from what I've heard, and I'm far from an expert, it was like TikTok difficult to get like to revenue. So curious to hear your thoughts on this.
So we have a couple of B2C win stories. We're still working on a B2B win story. So we're still trying to prove the case that like you can get good B2B leads and sales from it. It does look promising because it's just so cheap. Yeah. Like the CPMs are just so cheap, and the targeting or the AI driven targeting on TikTok is better than Facebook's. So like the actual targeting selections are less important, and the polarization is more important. So I think I said polarizing, and then we said the word controversial as well. But in terms of polarizing, like for instance, if you go to TikTok for your audience, say, and you want to attract like say SDRs, like, well, you couldn't find that, but you could attract, or you could target like people interested in sales, and that would be okay. But it's more important that your ad itself scream sales, right? Like it should just immediately be obvious that like if you're not in the sales profession, you know, you don't want this or need this. We see also like ads that look like ads don't work on TikTok.
Yeah.
Right? Like it has to look native. So some of the most successful, they weren't our client, but they were a client of somebody that we just hired, and he showed us these campaigns. They were running an ad which was essentially like somebody taking a video on a selfie. It was in the car insurance space, and they were getting long form leads from TikTok. Long form meaning that it's like, you know, not just name and email. It was like 17 fields or something. Wow. Where one of the fields was vehicle identification number. So that's like a pretty high quality lead. If somebody's going to sit there and punch in their 12 digit or whatever vehicle identification number for like $6 a lead.
Okay. Yeah, that's super cheap. And what was like a conversion rate after that? Like, do you have numbers or?
I don't have. I mean, I don't have those numbers. He may or may not.
No,
it was the ads seem to have a formula, or they all do certain things. So they're all like apparently native, like they're not produced. They're almost always taken from a cell phone. And it's usually like low tech. Like you can tell, like they don't have like one of those selfie sticks, like they're just holding it, right? It always does that. It's always somewhat entertaining, like just the way the person talks is lively or funny, or it always does at least a small amount of educating. So in the car insurance one, a little bit of education. I'll tell you how. And then it always shows the post-click experience on the ad, which is important. We call that scent trail. So does the ad smell like the landing page, right? Mm-hmm. So they always are showing that, and they usually show the point of conversion. Like they'll be like, just go here, fill out the form. And at that point, there's like another iPhone showing their iPhone, basically.
No, that's cool. And I do feel like TikTok launched like a feature where you can actually convert on the app. Like you can build some sort of landing page within it or something like that, like native for conversion. I'm not sure. Like I think it's pretty like recent, or they were experimenting with something like this. Yeah,
like an instant experience, like on Facebook to have the instant experiences. Yeah, I've not seen that personally, but I wouldn't be surprised by it.
But I think like it's interesting because I've been experiencing on TikTok recently. Like I started an account and I post like daily just to see like what's working, not working. And algorithm is just random. So it's like sometimes you think like this video is just gonna be like really like nailing and everything. But I made one viral video about like us hiring like remotely, etc. And we got from TikTok, I think like 600 or 700 applications from that one single video.
What?
It was crazy. 90% of the application is just like terrible, which means it's like people like either like sending their shitty CV with like hire me as a cover letter or something like that, where you're like, okay, like this is a waste of time, but 10% is highly qualified and it's really good. So I was like, okay, this is interesting.
That's cool. What did you do on the video? Like, what was the video like?
It's basically like I was working recently from Cape Town in South Africa. So I had like rented quite a nice place and the view was just amazing. So I was working on like the terrace outside, and the video is just like the camera coming to me and saying something a bit inspirational. Like if, you're not allowed to work from anywhere in the world, then quit your job. We're hiring 30 people. And I just found out like the name or like something like that. Mm-hmm. And with a nice music, something a bit inspirational, and it just boomed, So I was like, well, this is something.
Wow, that's awesome, G. You are the man, dude. You're a good marketer. Are you I don't know if I asked you, but are you more on the marketing and acquisition side, or are you a developer or a product person?
Yeah, I'm just handling like the business side of things, so more like marketing and sales. So in the early days, same as you, I was running like all the sales prospecting, doing all these things. I think I did this on my own until we got like same for marketing and everything up to like $1 million in ARR. And after that, I started hiring, training people, and then focus on the thing that I like doing.
That's awesome, dude. That's really cool.
And what's kind of like the because I want to be like cautious of your time. What's kind of like the next step for you guys? Like, because you're experimenting on new platform. Is it mainly based on customers asking for it, or is it mainly like you would decide to always do fast-paced testing and then implement it, or what's
We believe that the world is a traffic store. Yeah, so we're always interested in finding new platforms and traffic sources.
Nice.
So there's that. But I think what's next for WebMechanix, you evolve over time, right? Because I never told you how we actually broke through. So, we went from banging our head over, cold calling and stuff. But I had this buddy named Noah, and Noah was selling pay-per-click ads for this company called Reach Local, basically to small businesses. So our breakthrough came when he began referring some of his clients, because we did organic search and Reach Local didn't. So he began introducing us to some of those clients. And those clients were like, I said, the bartending school. There was one that was like a concrete contractor. There was one that was a roofing contractor. There was, these different ones. So we had that niche of these like small businesses. And then we were doing good work for them. So they started referring us to, others that they knew. So that was our first ever niche, or like product market fit, you might say, right?
Yeah.
But then ever since then, every 2 or 3 years, or sometimes more, sometimes less, we kind of evolve into a different sort of niche. So we went from, the little tiny local businesses to local businesses that were a little bit bigger. Then a few years later, we got into higher education for a little while, and we had a bunch of like colleges and universities. Then we went and got into B2B. So we had a bunch of B2B tech and B2B SaaS. Now we're sort of evolving into some more B2C spenders, like some B2C financials, even some B2C tech. Like we have like some clients in the telecom kind of space. So we're evolving to get these bigger advertisers that are, in larger markets with larger budgets. So we're going upstream, and I think we're gaining momentum. And we are currently we're starting the conversations of like, we're probably at some point gonna sell this thing, or, be acquired by some strategic acquirer, or merge, and be part of a roll up. So we're starting to lay the groundwork just now for that. So I think probably there'll be some transaction in the coming 3 to 5 years, probably. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less.
Really interesting. And have you read like the book? I think it's called Build to Sell or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I love that book. I love that book, dude. And that's exactly what we're doing with revenue-driven optimization.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, that's cool.
So we've always like, almost like a productized service. We've always done these things, but it's just recently where we're defining and refining and documenting and just training. So we used to basically train on like how to make ads, how to do SEO, how to do PPC, how to do this. Now we're just going to train on how to do revenue-driven optimization.
Really cool. Really cool. Time is flying, so I want to wrap up with the usually like 3 questions I ask, fire questions. First one is, what book would you recommend to another bootstrap entrepreneur?
Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't read it, I know that's a classic. Maybe here's another one. Psychology of Money. Oh no, $100 million offers by Hormozi.
Hormozi, yeah. I like this guy. Really I think he's doing some really cool stuff. It's interesting.
He's a badass, dude.
Yeah.
He is a. I mean, you're a badass too, G, but that guy is a badass.
Second question: who is the bootstrap entrepreneur that you follow?
There's this firm who's one bootstrap entrepreneur that I really follow or look up to. That's a tough one. How about that?
All right. Thank you. That's good. I'll take it. And last question: what's the one thing you do to regain energy during like tough times?
Meditate and visualize.
I love it. That's cool.
I've learned that no matter how bad the situation is, really the only thing that matters is like the thoughts and imagery that are flashing through your mind. So that's like one of my mental hacks, is like when things are going really bad, I'll just intentionally like trigger my victory movies.
Nice.
And I find that provides relief in the moment.
It does. It all starts in the mind. Love it. Love your advice. Well, Chris, it was really like an awesome episode full with value. Where can people like follow you or get in touch with you if they want?
go to webmechanics.com, check us out. And then you can find me on LinkedIn is probably my most active platform. Just search for Chris Mechanic, just like the people that fix cars.
I love this. Have an awesome day, Chris. Talk to you soon.
All right, Guillaume. Great seeing you, man. We'll talk
Take
soon.
care.
Thank you for listening to the Bootstrap Stories, the only podcast where bootstrap entrepreneurs share their journey in all transparency. If you enjoyed this episode, don't hesitate to leave us a review. And in case you want to see the interview, all episodes are live on the YouTube channel. Check out the link in the description and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Have an amazing day and make sure to also join us in our amazing Bootstrap community where we all helped each other to become successful and grow a profitable business. Take care and talk to you soon.